Welcome back to another episode of Norse Studies with Zakk. We're going over the culture of the Teutons. If you haven't watched any of my episodes, they're in 10-minute intervals. We're just reading this together. Feel free to start at any episode that you've missed. Go back through my page. You can catch up with us. It's pretty easy. We're just going to go through this book together, kind of discern what Wilhelm Grönbeck is trying to say about Norse culture. We cannot gain speech of the individual human being. Here lies the difference between Hellenic and Germanic culture. The Hellen is nearer to us, for we can go straight to him, speak to him as a man to man about the life of man. Let him introduce us into the strange world, as it seems to us, in which he lives. Let him show us the aims that determine his daily thought and actions. And from his utterance and expression, form an idea as to how he reacts in face of what he meets. The barbarian does not move. He stands stiffly, uninvitingly. If he speaks, his words convey no meaning to us. He has killed a man. Why did you kill that man, we asked. I killed him in revenge. How had he offended you? His father had spoken ill words to my father's brother. Therefore I craved honor as due from him to us. Why did you take the life of the offender himself? This was a better man. The more we ask and pry, the more incomprehensible he becomes. He appears to us as a machine driven by principles. If I'm getting this correct, his depiction of the Teutons and the way that they functioned is pretty robotic, right? It's similar to if you have a robot and you program it with certain rules, right? And it can't function outside of those rules. That's kind of how the Teutons are, right? One thing conquers everything that they do. One thing conquers all, which is honor, right? That's what we're gathering thus far from this book. Is regardless of what's happening, they're going for honor, right? If they're going to bring honor to their family, it doesn't matter if they're going to enjoy something. They're going to, let's say a woman's going to marry a man she absolutely despises, but it's going to bring honor back to her and her family, she's going to do that. Same thing for a man, vice versa. It doesn't have to be a woman. But they're all going to act in honor. And that's what he's talking about, a machine that only operates on principles. The Hellen exists as an individual, a separate person with the community. The Germanic individual exists only as the representative, nay, as a personification of a whole. So, similar to a body, let's say my body is the Teutons, or the, the village, right? My arm does not function independent of the rest of my body, right? If we chopped off my arm, it's not going to move around by itself. It's going to die, right? So if each limb of me, if each part of my body represents a person within my tribe, we all have to function together. One part of me affects the rest, right? If this part moves, it affects the rest of my body. And that's how the Teutons did it. They moved as a whole, as a community. They thought, how are my actions going to affect the community as a whole? Rather than the Hellens, where they exist as individuals. One might imagine that a supreme convulsion, I think I said we're on page 18, that a supreme convulsion of the soul must tear the individual out from the whole, and let him feel himself, speak as for himself. But actually, it is the opposite that takes place. The more the soul is moved, the more the individual personality is lost in the kin. At the very moment when man most passionately and unreservedly gives way to his own feelings, the clan takes possession of the individual, fully and completely. Eagle's lament is not the lament of a father for his son. It is the kin that utters its lament through the person of the father. From his breadth of passion springs the overpowering pathos of the poem. So he's saying that it's not Eagle's poem, it's not Eagle's words that make them so great. It's the ancestors and Eagle's kin that are speaking through him. It's their pain of the loss of his son. It's not just him. That's why his poem was so great. If we want a real understanding of such men as Eagle, we are driven to ask, what is the hidden force that makes kinsmen inseparable? First, we learn that they call each other friend. Frondi in Icelandic, frond in Anglo-Saxon. And a linguistic analysis of this word will teach us that it means those who love each other. But this brings us no farther. For etymology tells us nothing of what it is to love. We can perhaps get a little nearer by noting etymological connection between the word friend and two others that play a great part in the social life of those days, free and frith. In frith, peace, we have the old kinsman's own definition of the fundamental idea in their inner relationship. By frith, they mean something in themselves, a power that makes them friends, one towards another, and free men towards the rest of the world. I'm going to stop right there. If you guys want to get something else out of these videos, if you want them to be longer, if you want them to be shorter, please comment below. Rate, comment, subscribe. It helps me out. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.